Claire. I'm so happy to meet you, to see you here at Commvault Shift. It's a really exciting event. We've been talking a lot about business recovery, business continuity, rapid response. Can you tell me how Commvault is positioning its solutions so that we are better prepared?
Absolutely. In fact, we have been talking about business continuity, but actually a flip on that. We're positioning around continuous business. And I want you to think about that as that always on availability, that ability to bring security so it runs continuously, recovery practices run continuously, readiness practices run continuously. It's that ability to take what was business continuity of the past 40 years and say, that's not going to help you necessarily in the future state. That was built for a world where you knew what the threat was and when it was going to be delivered and what you had to do to recover. In cyber, you don't know that, and so you have to start thinking about recovery, security, readiness as an always on and available state to keep your business continuous.
And this isn't a project, this is a program, and there is a distinct difference between those things. Can you elaborate on that?
Totally. It is people, processes, and systems always, and those three have to come together. No longer can we operate in individual swim lanes, which sometimes is what business continuity does. And continuous business brings it together to say you got to start. Recovery has to be thought about during security, much like the world of DevOps, where Dev and Ops had to come together. Security and recovery to be continuous has to come together and thought about much earlier and not just at the end state.
And this has to be implemented across the business because it's a shared responsibility.
Oh, absolutely. And I would say that's one of the reasons, even as a CMO, people say, why are you so deeply involved in cybersecurity? Because it's every executive, and you're actually starting to see it's every employee of every company's duty. I don't know if you just noticed that Microsoft started changing its compensation plan for all of its employees, ensuring that they have the right security training, mindset, protocols. It is an entire company effort. No longer is this just left to the head of systems, the CIO, or the CISO. It is the board, it is the executive team, it is the employees at large if we're going to beat this thing.
And in terms of your resilience, your cyber resilience, you are only as strong as your weakest.
Absolutely.
Kind of
weakest link.
Weakest link.
Absolutely.
So that means like looking at your supply chain and making sure that your resilience is embedded across the whole supply chain.
Totally. We always talk about, like, why can't you keep the bad guys out? Like, what is it about security that you can't keep them out? And that's because there's so many points that they can get in. When you start thinking about supply chains, the point of entry is vast. Yeah, and it's why recovery has become such an important part of the security narrative, because keeping them out is a very difficult state.
Amazing.
So how quickly you can recover, that's going to be the new, the new mandate.
So in today's digital landscape, we are seeing a collision of data protection and also cybersecurity. What's going on?
Yeah, well, much like that concept of, again, DevOps, these teams can't operate separately anymore. Security, recovery teams, they need to come together. And the best way to come together is through practicing readiness. And one of the things Commvault's doing today, we launched Readyverse, and this is our cyber recovery training programs that bring together security and IT teams so they can actually start building cyber recovery plans, start testing, emulating testing. We're not just doing tabletop testing. We also have a product, Clean Room Recovery, where we allow you to do an isolated cloud on-demand clean room where you can actually run your test plans. You can run forensic analysis. You can actually put your plans to test in a way that's not shutting down your entire company and your system. So we're really excited that that capability brings these teams together and really allows them to start knowing what's going to happen and what they have to do to be strong.
It's really tackling it. It's still at the awareness level, isn't it? Because it's surprising how ill-prepared companies are for a cyber attack. It always amazes me, given where we are that this is still an issue.
Yeah, we've ran a lot of research on this, and we looked at 2,000 companies worldwide in our cyber recovery readiness report, and 50% of all companies say that they are not prepared, or they don't feel like they have an adequate cyber recovery plan. And out of those 50 who aren't prepared, 20% say they've never even ran a test, not even a tabletop test. So the level of unpreparedness is shockingly high, considering the amount and the frequency of attacks that are happening.
It really is. I sat in Minutes to Meltdown this
You
morning.
did? Oh,
I did.
Good.
It was amazing. It was great. It was 2 hours of really kind of like workshopping this out. And I was absolutely amazed at the responses from some of those practitioners in the audience. It was actually really quite concerning, and it really kind of brought home the situation that we're still in.
Right. You know, I don't think anyone can understand the pressure you're under in a moment like that. And that's what Minutes to Meltdown tries to do, is to say, here's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And so, like, these are the decisions you're going to have to make. You have to decide, are you going to negotiate? And I think most people don't realize that you're negotiating with basically terrorists. Yeah. And is that even legal to negotiate?
But also the compliance issues with regard to that.
Right.
In regard to that.
Yeah, they're tricky decisions to be made.
Very much so. So it's, I mean, certainly from the workshop this morning, it wasn't a case of this is right and this is wrong. It was a case of, no, understand the environment, know the risks that you are either accepting or transferring or mitigating.
Right, absolutely.
As a CMO, Commvault, how are you seeing marketing evolve when it comes to cybersecurity?
You know, I think a lot of people think about cybersecurity, again, as your systems, and they don't realize it's your brand. It is the trust that your customers and your customers' customers are actually going to put in your company, and their ability to keep their customers protected. And so we're seeing, you know, brand erosion and trust erosion from companies who don't get cyber resiliency right. So it is a CMO's paramount to understand, can we protect our customers? Because what's going to happen to our business and our brand if we can't?
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really, really interesting. One last question. We often think about cyber resilience as a way of bouncing back when there has been, say, a cyber attack. But what we heard today was actually it being used as a competitive advantage and the opportunity to actually innovate. You know, when that happens, which I thought was really interesting.
It's super interesting, because I think a lot of times people think about, let's just get back to where we were before.
Exactly.
And so yes, you do need to prepare yourself so you can recover. But what you learn in an instance like this helps you reimagine your business and your end state and what you really need to be prepared for, and maybe rethinking bigger or different outcomes. So it's not just pulling back from where you were, but it's using this to reimagine where you're going to need to go.
I thought that was really, really interesting. Obviously, it's about doing the basics really, really well. You have to do that. That is a non-negotiable.
Absolutely.
You know, in regard to where we are. But there's also an opportunity to actually innovate.
Yes.
I love that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Anna.
Thank you. Such a pleasure. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you.